a Saturday afternoon, morning, or evening, whatever you're watching us here on the Outlaw Nation channel. It is Strong Style back live again this week. I am the Outlaw John Rocha, joined as always by my brother down there in Orlando, Aaron Turner. Aaron, how are you doing? A week chock full of wrestling news, a little bit sad, a little bit great, a little bit awesome. We got so much to talk about. How are you, my friend?
Natural born killers, brother. That's all I'm saying. Like, it started off as a pretty action-packed week, and then last night we got some bad news. So So I'm ready to talk. There's a lot going on, so let's not waste any time.
Absolutely. Love the hat as well. Love that Bret Hart hat you're wearing. I may not be his biggest fan, but I respect the merch. Absolutely. Thanks to everybody who's joining us right now live. We got about 16 here live. I know it'll grow as we go along during the show, but we're going to get into all of that. We're going to get into the sad passing of New Jack. We're going to talk about that Booker T A&E biography. We're going to talk about that Dark Side of the Ring with Chris Gage. We're going to get into so many more AEW Dynamite. We're talking about Zelina Vega coming back possibly to the WWE. And speaking of the WWE and the AEW starting to announce plans to start touring at a local venue near you. And we'll talk about all of that and how we feel about it for sure. But let me remind you right at the top of the show, you see it pinned in the chat. Any support you can send in, any Streamlabs super chats you want to have answered here on the show, you want to talk about with us here on the show, please feel free to send it in. Didn't do a lot of programming this week. That Moderna vaccine kicked me in the ass for 3 days, so I had to cancel a bunch of shows. So I wasn't, but this is my first show back, and I'm feeling good. I'm feeling ready. I'm excited to at least be able to do this show today. So send in your contributions, send in your donations for the Strong Style crew and the Outlaw Nation. You see it pinned to the chat. You see it in the description, and you see it above Aaron's head. All right, let's get it on. Aaron, where shall we go first, my brother?
Now we're going to start off with the sad news, and that is ECW original, all-around badass Jerome Young, a.k.a. New Jack, passed away yesterday at the age of 58. There was reported that it was a heart attack, and we lost, a legend of sorts. Yeah. Never made it to the WWE, but that's okay. That doesn't validate you as a legend always. So New Jack, one of those ECW characters that really stuck around, very different for the things that he would do. Of course, a lot of things are nefarious for what New Jack would do. And if you caught if you caught our review last year, or not, well, I guess it would have been last year, of Dark Side of the Ring, the episode they did on New Jack, one of the best they've ever done in terms of how deep they got into someone's psyche and just really a bio of his entire life. And the thing about Jack is, like, you hear these stories about crazy things that he did, like, I'm going to throw this guy off a scaffold, I'm trying to kill him, I'm going to stab this guy because he disrespected me. But then you hear, like, the other side of New Jack. Like, I was reading a story today about New Jack, about how he was being toured around Philadelphia by, like, a local promotion brought him in. Yeah. And this, one of the promoter's helpers, like a young lady, was helping him pick out some gear. He wanted to find an O.J. Simpson bootleg T-shirt. That's what he was looking for. And if you can believe that. And they ended up finding one, and Jack was so excited that he bought her one, and they both wore them. He took her out to lunch. Like, he was just like an all-around great guy. I read another story today that said that New Jack was teaching young up-and-coming wrestlers how to actually lock up. And how to take certain, like, bumps and do certain stuff. And then one of the guys said, "Hey, New Jack, how come you don't wrestle like this?" Mm-hmm. And New Jack said, "If you tell anybody that I know how to do the basic stuff and it gets out, I'm going to kill you." So just the different stories about Jack, man, it makes him that kind of character. Just totally different than anybody out there. Just one of a kind, absolute legend. R.I.P.
Yeah, R.I.P. Absolutely, man. It's going to be interesting. You're right. Talk about this crazy mofo right there, New Jack. I mean, look at him. Those were great pictures from that time. We saw another shot here of New Jack doing hardcore ECW stuff. You're absolutely right, man. I mean, watching that Dark Side of the Ring on him was such an eye-opening experience, because I just knew New Jack from ECW, and I'd read about the stuff outside the ring as well. So some of the more famous stuff outside the ring. But to hear him tell it, professional wrestling attracts all kinds of interesting characters. We're certainly going to get into some interesting characters later on in the show as we keep talking about our news items. But certainly this is one of these guys, to stand out at ECW. There are a lot of interesting characters, unique characters in ECW. You got Cactus Jack, Terry Funk, the Blue Meanie, you got Tommy Dreamer, you got the Sandman, Rob Van Dam. You got so many great characters throughout ECW. How do you stand out? How do you Sabu? How do you stand out? And New Jack found a way to stand out. One of those rare black stars in ECW as well. Hell, in professional wrestling overall, one of those rare black stars that was able to transcend and go into these extreme forms of wrestling and make a name for himself. And the authenticity of this guy. Listen, pro wrestling fans, from the 20 that are in a high school gym to the thousands that are at the Pontiac Silverdome or down in Miami or down in Tampa for the most recent WrestleMania, they respect authenticity. And it bleeds through with someone like New Jack. And clearly, this was a guy that bled it from literally and figuratively from his bones out, man. He bled the business and he laid it out on the floor for a lot of people to see. Was there nefarious stuff? Was there questionable stuff? Absolutely, undoubtedly. But when you're talking about a man who's just passed at a young age at 59, a lot of people are living to much longer than 59 nowadays to a heart attack. It breaks your heart because this was a guy that maybe later could have written in a pretty incredible book about his time looking back at this time in the 90s when ECW really blew up and he made his name as a wrestler. So sad passing for sure, Aaron. I got to see him live one time at Florida State University when ECW came through. He used a fork and a cheese grater, and he jumped off the bleachers that have been pushed against the wall. It was a hardcore match, and he jumped off those onto a guy on the table. I can't remember if it was Tommy Dreamer or one of the other brunette-haired ECW wrestlers at the time. But I just remember being blown away by New Jack and then following him after that. So sad loss for sure, my man.
And you made the point. You said like somebody that's authentic, and you can tell that's real. That's just who New Jack was. I think we're going to get a little foreshadowing. I think a little bit later we're going to get into somebody that I feel is not as real. So we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, it's interesting to hear you talk about New Jack such glowing terms because I know you might not have glowing terms for someone we're going to talk about a little bit later as well. Yes, as you said. But we've got some super chats that have come in here, Aaron. John Alexander says, just want to send you guys some love. Hope we can start doing some watch-alongs again at some point. Certainly, Backlash is tomorrow night. Aaron and I haven't really talked about it, but I'm not sure if we're going to stage one up. The problem also is syncing up the video and missing some moments and having to like swallow your moments, your reaction to those moments. That can be a bit unsettling. So that's sometimes what messes up with our watch-alongs, but we'll keep talking about it for sure. Thank you, John. And Justin Toner says, hey, John and Aaron, really love the Booker T biography this week. Great and honest stories. Look forward to hearing your Mania Backlash predictions as well. So yeah, we'll get into those a little bit later on for sure, Aaron. But we'll get to the Booker T biography in just a little bit. But any final words on New Jack before we kind of walk away from this section of the show?
Just, I mean, you pretty much hit the nail on the head about, he's real. He's one of those all-time characters that, I grew up, I wouldn't say like I grew up watching ECW. It was underground, man. It was like, you go to FYE and like in the back section where there's like porn and stuff, you like flip through and there's like an ECW videotape because it had nudity. And you're like, what? Like this wrestling has nudity? And it's like, what the heck? Yeah. And you've always got that one friend, at least I did. His name was Matt Casey. Shout out to Matt. Yeah. And you'd always say, hey, man, you ever seen this ECW? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't even know what that is. And he's like, dude, go to FYE in the back area. Go get Barely Legal. Like, it's crazy. And you go there, you buy it, and you're feeling like, oh, man, what's going on? And you watch it, and you're like, whoa, what is this? So, New Jack was always one of those, like, almost like forbidden fruits, like seeing him, like him and RVD and Sabu and those guys. So always fond memories of that.
Yeah, and just in case any of you are like thinking, oh, he was just a guy that did stuff in ECW, he went from the ground up here, started out in United States Wrestling Association, which is based out of Tennessee. You know, if you can come out, you got to learn how to wrestle. Memphis, Tennessee is a good place to go to learn how to wrestle. Then he went to the North Georgia Wrestling Alliance, then Smoky Mountain Wrestling, where he really got known by a bunch of the federations. People started watching him. Then jumps into ECW, does his thing all the way
into Cornette, baby. Jim
Jim
Cornette.
Cornette. Exactly. Jim Cornette getting him over. The OJ thing, just go rewatch that Dark Side of the Ring, Liz. It's incredible. The XPW stuff of TNA, where he tried to do some stuff in TNA, which was hilarious. So he's done all kinds of things. He worked a career and he got known for it. And I think there was a book possibly coming, my man, that I think would have been very interesting to read. And so we send out our thoughts and condolences to his family. I think his wife, Jennifer, in California, or in North Carolina, rather. So, our thoughts and prayers, absolutely, for his family and the loss at such a young age of New Jack, and to our wrestling community as well. So a sad loss for sure. Chris Taylor said, how about a Dark Side of the Ring watch along? Well, I'm sure we can figure something out in the future. Maybe we'll see.
That's probably more possible because I don't have cable, like full disclosure. Yeah. So I watch Dark Side of the Ring. I buy the episodes off Amazon Prime.
Oh, okay.
So maybe we could set something up like that where we'd be on the same schedule. I don't know if you have cable or not, but I do not. So that's how I watch it.
Anymore. Yeah, I don't have cable anymore. I just have a Roku app.
Okay.
Roku, and I get the Vice TV app. And so far, they made the first two of Pillman available for free, but then they sold those like 30-second free passes. So that's how I got to finish the Nick Gage one. But eventually, I'm going to have to make a choice here about how to get Vice TV. It may have to be through jumping onto Hulu or something, because A&E is on there as well. And then they let you have it for free once you jump onto the Hulu subscription. So we'll see down the road, but certainly a Dark Side of the Ring watch along as possible. Maybe I can share my screen, and then Aaron and I can watch that through my own stuff and do a reaction to it as well. So we'll see.
Okay. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll figure it out, Chris. Thanks for the suggestion. I appreciate it. And Chris also says that he had a friend like that, Aaron Turner. He had a friend like that.
Haven't we all? I feel like we've all had a friend that's like, hey, man, you ever seen this video? Hey, man, you ever played this video game? Like, you've got a guy, like a weird guy that does that. So
you've always got a guy. Where I lived in Northern Virginia, in Prince William County, they have the Potomac Mills Mall. When ECW was just about wrapping up shop in the 2000s, in the early 2000s, late 90s, a guy put up a pop-up store in the middle of the mall, and he was allowed to show ECW stuff. It was edited, so you wouldn't see any bloody stuff, but he would have like these characters come out. They'd have the confrontations or whatever. No audio to it either, but he would sell the DVDs and the VHSs from the pop-up store there next to the person selling the bands and the person selling the weird funky toys. He would have his. So I would always stop off, and they were expensive. They were not cheap. But I would always stop off and watch some of that stuff there. Could never buy it at the time. I was super poor at the time, but it was fun to watch some of that ECW. And that's when I would get into it as well, for sure. Yeah. So, yeah. Gramash says, do we have a dedicated Discord for Strong Style so fans can watch along pay-per-views together? Nagata versus Moxley or Miro versus Darby? Is TNT title enough for Miro? Well, we're certainly going to get into that down the road here, Aaron. Discord, I don't know. Maybe I should set one up on the Outlaw Nation Discord, set up a separate room for the Strong Style fans. It's not a bad idea for sure. And maybe we can pop in every once in a while and hang out with them for sure. So something like that.
Sure, that sounds good.
Yeah, there we go. Good suggestion, Gramash. Shout out. All right, where shall we go, my man?
All right, so let's talk about this. This is kind of breaking over the past couple days, and it's the AEW first announced that they are returning to touring the United States starting on July 7th in Miami, with their next event the next week in Cedar Park, Texas on July 14th and July 21st in Garland, Texas. Not to be outdone, there are rumors going on, this isn't official yet, that the WWE will reportedly test touring with a small live event loop in mid-July.
Wow.
No word on locations yet. Of course, what do we think about these? But I mean, a couple things first. You got your second vaccine. I got my second vaccine this week. So, fully vaccinated, strong style. Do it, kids. But even like this morning, my company, the company that I work for, it's a grocery store. They have locations all across this area.
Right.
They lifted their mask mandate today. They said, as long as you are fully vaccinated, employees and customers, no mask.
Huh. Okay.
I don't know how you verify that. I don't know how that works. I mean, whatever. But no masks. I'm starting to see it. Like, I don't know about you, but I feel like I'm starting to see it, especially around my area, that people like Universal Studios has, pulled back on their mask mandate and their social distancing. Disney is pulling back on hand washing stations and temperature checks. Like, it's happening, man. So as we continue to get vaccinated as a country and continue towards that herd immunity that everybody wants to get back to normal, this is kind of inevitable. So what do you think about it? But it also at the same time feels like, oh geez, I don't know. So it's like, is it too soon, or what do you think about July as this like litmus test for touring? There's no word on the limits of crowd either. So what do you think about this?
It's kind of weird, to be honest with you. In my mind, half of me is like not sure if we should be doing that just this quickly. But then again, I mean, these businesses have a right to push this forward if they think they see enough of a demand from their fans to fill these stadiums, to fill these places. They got to make their money. As much as the WWE is a multi-billion-dollar company, you can't deny that maybe one of the reasons they let go of all the people they let go, and they did say budgetary concerns, and I know they signed a deal with Peacock, but how much of that money did they get up front? We don't really know the particulars of the deal full on. So maybe all this COVID situation really did affect their bottom line in a pretty strong way. And so making these decisions to cut were there. So going back out on the road is imperative for them, because that's a great way for them to keep making money, selling the merch place to place to place. It's important for them to keep pushing the product in that way. So with AEW, I'm a little surprised they're going full bore into it. But then again, they were really at the forefront of making sure there was more safety measures, more protocols in place. They believed in the mask stuff earlier than the WWE did. And certainly I think in the end, that's what kind of makes me more confident about that situation than the WWE situation. But then again, one more point to look at this, Aaron. You were at that WrestleMania. They pulled it off. There seems to be no spread of it, no cases spread out from WrestleMania that were at large numbers when you juxtapose that to what happened in Sturgis. So, I mean, you're not hearing too many large numbers coming out, or I haven't heard really any numbers coming out of people who got infected going to WrestleMania with COVID. So more and more people are getting vaccinated, more and more people getting out, but I'm not going to stop wearing my mask, so they can kiss my ass about that shit. I'm telling the truth. I don't give a fuck who's got an issue with it. I'm wearing my mask because these people who don't vaccinate and are licking themselves and licking other people who aren't vaccinated, they're creating variants, and there's no way to protect for that other than the stuff we've been doing already. So until the entire country is vaccinated, I won't be taking off my mask when I go into places unless I'm sitting down to eat.
And that's totally fine. That of course is your prerogative. That something that really surprised me, like going around on Twitter this week. I know we're kind of off the wrestling topic, but like people were saying, like, oh man, when I'm sick going into the office and have a cold, I'm gonna wear a mask from now on. I'm like, I feel like I did that anyway, but okay, if that's something you want to do. Like I remember, like you go to the doctor's office, and if you're sick, they're like, please put this mask on. So it would only make sense that if you have a cold, you would put on a fucking mask if you worked in an office. But whatever. I mean, that's Twitter, I guess. But it's going to be interesting. From what I've heard from people that have gone to Dynamite in the AEW events in Jacksonville, now they don't require you to wear a mask. So somebody may need to clarify that for me. But that's what I've heard. It's not mandatory anymore. You can kind of see it on Dynamite that there are more and more people without them. But of course, it's your prerogative to wear one. I think that normalizing mask wearing is something that's just going to happen. It's inevitable. Like people in public that want to wear a mask, totally fine. Like I I don't think that's weird at all. I think that's totally understandable. You don't want any kind of crazy shit going on in, in Asian countries. They do it all the time.
Yeah.
So, but then again, their air is shit. So, I mean, it's understandable. But the fact that, WWE and AEW are considering touring again, it gets me excited, but it also gives me pause. Like WrestleMania was one thing. It was like a big event and it felt like something really special. And then to go back on tour, I don't know, man. It's like, it's crazy. Like, it's crazy that we've got to this point where it felt like this was, okay, well, this was the new normal. We're going to look at video screens of people, and now we're actually going to have people. So, yeah, it's pretty cool, man.
I agree. And it's also, listen, I know we don't want to get too political in the show, but it's nice to, like, his imperative when he stepped in as President Biden was to roll out these vaccines in large numbers to anybody who can have them. And that's been and we've seen now the positive effect on the economy, the positive effect on people getting back to work, and the positive effect on businesses like the WWE and AEW feeling like, okay, there's enough people who are vaccinated who can show up to these events. There's enough people now where we feel like it's safe, and the insurance hit that we can take isn't as strong. That's one of the things about the Schmodown. When they shut it down, it was about insurance. And I don't know if we're ever going to go do a live event that isn't outdoors this year. I think it won't be until next year because of some of the insurance situations that can happen. But a big company like WWE, certainly a way bigger insurance policy to handle that kind of situation happening. So I think they're seeing that more and more people want to get out. Sports, people are going to these sports events, and they're not walking away with large numbers of infected COVID people, even though the Yankees just got 8 people infected who have been vaccinated. So there's still that outside possibility. But I think enough people are there who want to wear the mask, who respect the mask. Yeah, there's going to be the yahoos and the idiots. There always are, even before mask wearing. There are always those yahoo idiots who are going to cause trouble. But wear your mask if you want to wear your mask. And if you don't want to wear your mask, you don't have to. And you can just take your chances. And that's freedom in this country. I have freedom to wear my mask and not wear my mask. And both sides need to be respected because both sides are expressing their American freedom to do so. And there's nothing wrong with that, in my opinion. So, So anything else on this one?
No, I think we're good. I just wanted to I thought that was important. So I wanted to bring that in this week so we can have a little back and forth on it.
When do you think it's going to be happening for the WWE? It says mid-July. Is that correct? What is the small event loop? What do you think? Where do you think they'll go in this small event?
I assume it will be either Texas or it'll be New York. Okay. I don't think or maybe even Illinois, or like Chicago area, because I don't think they want to go to LA. I don't think they want to test that yet. I think they want to stick with Texas is a little bit more loosey-goosey. New York's opening up a little bit more. Chicago's always been like a WWE hotbed. So I think they want to go somewhere where they're going to be, the crowd's going to be there regardless. So I think that's probably what they'll do.
Okay. All right, cool. All right. Well, let's see. Do we have any more super chats or Streamlabs? Keep them coming in. Gramash says, Tamina finally has a title. Can Shayna move on now?
Yeah.
What do you want to say?
Tamina Snuka and Natalya won the women's tag team championships last night on SmackDown from Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. Yeah. Tamina's first title proper. She was a 24/7 champion, but we all know that doesn't count.
Nope.
I don't care. I don't really care at all, actually, that Tamina won a championship. I'm not impressed. I feel like she should have been let go a long time ago. I understand that she's a great person, but that can only get you so far. Shayna Baszler is going to move on and is going to go back to kicking ass, I hope. Yeah. And then, Nia Jax will do something else. So, we're going to free up both of them. But then again, do we have any other contenders for those tag team titles?
Right.
I don't think so. So,
yep.
I don't know, dude.
I'm just, if Shayna gets out of that situation, great. I'm all for it. So I don't care about anybody else in that situation but Shayna. So I'd be very happy to see Shayna pop out and start fighting, getting back to who she was for sure. All right, let's. What's our next thing, my man?
So this is a thing that I wasn't expecting this week, but it popped up, and that's our good friend Zelina Vega, Thea Trinidad, spotted at the WWE Performance Center this week with a rumored possible return to the company. Now, if you recall, Zelina Vega has had the opportunity to be with a different, like that 90-day, I quit, I'm done, that 90-day hold is up. she could have gone to AEW TNA, wherever she wanted to go. She could have done that. But there was these rumors out there that she had signed a contract with another company to stop her from going to these different places. And a lot of people thought, okay, well, maybe it was like a gaming company, or maybe it was some other wrestling promotion that wanted to bring her in so she could do some indie dates and not go with one of the big dogs. But how about this? It could have been WWE all along that wanted to bring Zelina Vega back in. So that's the rumor that's out there. There's also rumors going around that they want to bring her back as a manager for possibly with her real-life husband, Aleister Black. You've seen Aleister Black vignettes coming across on SmackDown for the last couple weeks. So we know that he's coming back. So it would only make sense to bring Zelina back to that. And, there's no Andrade anymore. It looks like Angel Garza is doing his own thing. So where does Zelina fit? She fits differently with Aleister Black, a different Zelina Vega, maybe a little bit darker. I'd be into that. So what do you think, man, about Zelina Vega coming back?
I'm excited for Zelina Vega to do whatever Zelina Vega wants to do. That's the way I look at it. If this is the right situation for her and she wants to come back and this is good attention for what she's been doing, then I'm all for it. She's a smart lady. She figured out the social media game for herself, blew up doing the Twitch stuff, all of that. She's smart. She got fans to go with her as she switched out of WWE into being just a social media personality and an influencer there on Twitch and other places. So more power to her. I don't know yet what she's going to do, but I hope it's not a situation where she felt the need to go back. I hope it's a situation where she's deciding to go back. It's the right move for her. Maybe they are constructing a really fun storyline with her and Aleister Black. And remember, this is so interesting when you think a few weeks ago, Charlotte getting in trouble with the company, Andrade getting released by the company. Maybe they had plans for those two, and they should move those plans over possibly to Aleister and Zelina. I don't know. It's certainly a possibility, but she was also photographed with, as you said, the daughter of The Rock. So is this going to be something where she comes in as a manager in NXT, and this allows her to still do her social media stuff and her Twitch stuff, but she's just managing? Maybe that's a situation for her where she's worked out some deal with them that makes sense. Because I don't think you come back to the Performance Center unless you're kicking the tires on the possibility of coming back, Aaron. And I don't think they let you come back to the Performance Center unless they have an idea of how they want to use you overall. So this is certainly an ongoing situation. She was focusing on her acting, focusing on her Twitch stuff and social media stuff. Is this a necessary step for her next? Because it feels a little bit like me, brother, like she's going backwards a little bit. But maybe for her, she loves the business so much. Maybe she's just one of these lifers and she needs to feel the crowd again. She worked so hard to get over, Aaron, and it seemed like it was over 2 years into her mad run at the top of her game and the prime. And maybe she felt like there's still more for her to give to the crowds, more storylines for her to play. And maybe also, Aaron, she's not finding so much success on the acting side of things. And so this is a way for her to keep herself kind of in the public eye.
It happens, man. We've seen it happen. So I don't know if she's taking a step back, like you said. I mean, maybe she just got the itch again. And she's like, I like being in the WWE. I mean, this is a way that I can make a living and be with my husband, and I can be around my friends, and I can do all this stuff. Because she's good friends with like Xavier Woods and all the people that do the up, down, down, because she's a big gamer. So she likes doing that kind of stuff. And it wouldn't surprise me if maybe she just got bored. Maybe she just got bored of doing the Twitch stuff. And she's like, I need to go back to where I belong. Is she the best wrestler? I don't think so. I believe it was Murderanta that mentioned in the chat she is 5'1". So it's like it's kind of hard to more or less take her seriously as a wrestler when you have people like Charlotte Flair. So it's hard to do. But as a manager, I mean, one of the best, one of the absolute best that the company had. We saw the reason that Andrade blew up in NXT was because of her. Not only, well, I shouldn't say just her. It was a combination of her and Andrade was putting on kick-ass matches. But she certainly did help because, Andrade wasn't as fluent in English, and she was there to pick up the slack. So she definitely helped Andrade get over to that next level. And I feel like she could do that with Aleister Black too. So hopefully that's where they go. Or if they put her with Simone Johnson in NXT, you know, she can bring her up too. So that will be something to see. I think the sky's the limit once again for her. I feel like she's one of these people that you can take out, you can put back in, and she fits like she never left.
Yeah, certainly possible. And look, if you look at her Twitch following, it's 64,000, which is great for someone low level like me. But for someone like her, I mean, if you compare her to Soraya Page, aka Page, she's 168,000. So that kind of stuff can affect your income overall as well, Aaron. So maybe she just felt like, you know what, there's an opportunity here. It makes sense. And like you said, my friends are back here. My husband's back here. I still have a little more in the tank that I want to give to this business. Let me go have some fun and explore. Doesn't mean she can't walk away from it 6 months from now, a year from now, or whatever. And I'm sure she's not going back and sacrificing what she's built on the outside of the WWE. I would hate to see that happen. So, but you know, maybe she understands I got to make this deal with the devil to kind of increase my visibility overall. It wouldn't be the first time. I wouldn't ding her for it, because none of us can understand what it's like to be in this business unless you're in this business and achieve some certain level of notoriety as she has, and have to figure out, well, what's the best option for me financially? So you can judge from your couch, but unless you've been there, you don't really fucking know. So yeah, that's my opinion.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm just saying.
It's true. You're right.
I'm saying we've all got opinions, but the experience of being there, you don't know what that juice is like until you had it. When it goes away, you know, you sometimes can find yourself chasing it, and there's nothing wrong with that. She's still a young woman, so she's figuring out, still a young human being, figuring out what she wants to do. All right. Let's see. We got any more Streamlabs super chats? No, all right. Keep sending them in, ladies and gentlemen. If you got some questions, you got some thoughts you want us to talk about, we're going to get into, obviously, a little bit the Booker T biography, and of course, we're going to get into the dark side of the ring stuff as well. So, if you want to send in your Streamlabs super chats, do it now as we go along through the show. Where are we up to now, Aaron?
Let's see. We're going to talk about the All Elite Wrestling Dynamite highlights this week. If you didn't catch Dynamite this week, really, really good episode. Very tight, which I like that. I like when everything that AEW does makes sense. Yeah. And I feel like this Dynamite made a lot of good sense. I want to start. I'm just going to read a bunch of stuff, and then we'll just talk about it as a whole.
Sounds good.
Chris Jericho, it is known that he's legit injured, has an arm injury, and is out 4 to 6 weeks from that fall off of the cage last week at Blood and Guts. He fell on a pillow and hurt his arm. Way to go, guys. John Moxley defeated Yuji Nagata in a really, really good match. If you didn't watch it, you need to go back and check it out to retain his IWGP United States Championship. Also, before John Moxley came out, if you don't know this, I mean, I'm sure you do, because a lot of you guys watch AEW, but you know, Jungle Boy has the Jungle Night song, which they whoa, like a legitimate song, and they got Wild Thing for John Moxley. You know, that song, Wild Thing. Like, I thought Rick Vaughn was coming out to maybe shut somebody down, but it was John Moxley coming out. So Wild Thing for John Moxley. I don't know if it fits. It's going to take me a couple weeks to get used to that, but it's cool. It's cool to hear like real music. That's different. Orange Cassidy legit injured in his match with Pac, which ended in a draw. It looked like he suffered almost like a neck injury. I thought it was a concussion, but I didn't hear or read anything that said it was a concussion. Everybody said he was fine, and they're going to do a triple threat match. It's going to be Orange Cassidy, Pac, and Kenny Omega at Double or Nothing for the AEW World Championship. Also, the Inner Circle comes out and douses the Pinnacle with a water gun. You know, very Steve Austin-esque. That's fine. You can rip that off. It's been long enough. Right. And it is announced that we are getting the second Stadium Stampede match between the Pinnacle and the Inner Circle. If you remember last year, it was the Inner Circle and the Elite.
Yes. So
we will get another Stadium Stampede match. You know, whatever. If you like that, that's fine.
I do.
All okay. Right. Whatever. And Miro, the formerly known as Rusev, defeats Darby Allin to win the TNT Championship, his first championship in AEW. What do you think of all this stuff, man? I thought it was a pretty good episode of Dynamite.
It's a damn good episode of Dynamite. It's amazing when you don't have to compete how much you can spread your wings a little bit. And I think they've also moved people into the positions they need them to be in to have a little fun with these storylines and set up some really great matchups. And we saw it. Certainly, it was a lot of fun seeing what Moxley could do here. It was great. I mean, that was a brutal match overall between them, and then having Moxley come out on top was great. I enjoyed that as well. And Miro, I was really surprised by that. I kind of thought they were setting Miro up to like be this unbeatable thing again and then lose again, like he's done a number of times, like he did in WWE. But him getting the victory, I was actually surprised by that because I know they've been building up, Aaron. But I mean, I just felt like they'd kind of blown the opportunity of putting a title on him for now, and then all of a sudden he's got the title on him. So for Miro personally, I'm happy for him personally because he deserves to be wearing belts. He's a good wrestler, good storyteller in the ring, and a great character. So overall, I like that. But there were some damn good matches here tonight and that night, and there was a lot of fun to be had. And certainly the Austin / Angle homage to turning the water on was really funny overall. But I'm sad here about Jericho, man. Let me tell you something. Old age is no joke. You can absolutely hurt your fucking arm falling on a pillow, ladies and gentlemen. Get used to that as you get older. Dana Carver used to have a joke that he broke his arm answering the phone in his 40s. That's the truth. It happens. You just don't know what bumps you can and can't take. And Jericho's been a pretty durable guy for a number of years in some pretty brutal wrestling matches. So it happens. It's sad to see him on the shelf, but maybe it'll give time for these other guys who were in his faction standing behind Jericho kind of step up to the plate and get some more attention put on them as well as this goes along. So in the end, sad news on the Jericho front, but I like the fact that they are stepping forward to AEW, delivering some pretty damn good matches off of what their Blood and Guts show was. So you had to follow up some good, Aaron. I think they did.
Yeah, I do want to address something. Apparently, it's called Jungle Boy, not Jungle Knight. Sorry, guys. God, sorry about that. As for that song, but I really enjoyed the Miro Darby story because I, like you, was like, okay, Miro's gonna lose, and he's gonna lose to Darby Allin. I'm not gonna believe it because Darby Allin's like super tiny,
and they built up Darby Allin like crazy.
And they do. They build up as like this cult phenomenon, and he really has become that with his time in AEW. So to see Miro basically for the first bit of the match absolutely beat his ass all over the thing, I was like, okay, all right. And then Darby started coming back, and I was like, oh man, like now he's going to lose, and it's going to be terrible. But then Miro puts that like the modified the accolade. I don't know what they call it in AEW, but it was but he just bent him over backwards and submitted him. I was like, holy shit! Like that was super believable, and that's a way to get yourself over as a badass again. Is to beat the shit out of somebody, and that's what Miro did. And I'm glad that they're doing something with him because as much criticism as I had for Miro in the WWE, because I think he kind of coasted on the Rusev Day stuff, I'll say it. I think he coasted a little.
Okay.
And then the WWE let him go, and people were like, how could you let Rusev go? I felt like he coasted. Anyway, then he comes into AEW. They put him with fucking Kip Sabian, who they never should have put him with because Kip Sabian is a fucking dweeb. They should have never put him with Kip Sabian. All right. But they did. Whatever. And now that he's broken away from Kip Sabian, he's a badass again. And they realize, oh, yeah, this guy's a giant badass that's athletic and can do these different things. Maybe we should push him to the mid card and then eventually up all the way to the card because it looks like we're going to get him and Lance Archer down the road, which will be a good, great match, I think, in terms of two big guys clashing. I always like to see that. So this is a big, huge step for Miro. As for the Jon Moxley stuff, I haven't seen Yuji Nagata since WCW. I got to be honest. I'm not over here watching all this Japan stuff. Okay. I thought Yuji Nagata, for his age, was in there kicking ass, dude. He looked fantastic.
And he did.
And I thought they told a great story. It was a great match. It was cool to see them both raising hands at the end. I heard they drank beers in the break. I mean, I thought it was great. I really enjoyed that. Everything they built it up to be. The Inner Circle Pinnacle stuff, it feels like Blood and Guts is a blow-off match, and then we're going to do something else because AEW wants to do like their own thing, which is the Stadium Stampede. That's something they came up with. Right. That's fine. Then the Inner Circle can win, and they can have another blow-off. I don't fucking know. But The stuff with the water gun is fine. It's just, it was really bookended by those two big things. I thought the show was awesome. I thought it really was Dynamite. So I was really impressed with it this week.
I was too. And I tell you, I love Britt Baker's interview with JR.
She was great.
I thought that was a damn good interview. The body position, the confidence, the way she delivered certain things, the way she's like, hey, those are your words. That's what you said. You see her really kind of growing as a character, growing in confidence in what she's doing. And the company's behind her. So that gives her even more confidence into this, heading into this match with Hikaru Shida. So I'm down to see more of that for sure. I'm not a fan of the Thunder Rosa. I thought Thunder Rosa would get a better draw out of this. I don't like the matchup they announced for her, but so be it. It's Britt Baker that they're kind of pushing right now, and Thunder Rosa will certainly get her. Yeah, and I think Thunder Rosa will get her shot at Britt Baker down the road once Britt Baker wins this title. I think when the program's done, she's going to have the belt, and then they're going to set her up again with Thunder Rosa down the road, which could be fun to watch for sure. But dude, Darby Allin, that was incredible what he did against Miro, man. I mean, that dive through the ropes where he literally looked like a bullet hitting Miro and then throwing his body down on the ground like that. It was incredible. So there was a lot of great stuff all around a couple of the unfortunate news we had about Orange Cassidy and Jericho. So yeah, 1,000%. If you're not watching AEW right now, you missed out on some damn good wrestling overall. So I'm excited about that, brother.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I see people in the chat talking about a couple things we didn't get to. Cody cut this promo, like a big USA promo, and it's been really polarizing because it just feels really old school, like USA versus foreign or heel bullshit. I didn't like it either. I was just like, okay, great. Cody can cut a great promo about anything, but it's like, cut that shit out. Like, we don't need that in 2020, 2021. And then I think it was Gramash that was asking, is the TNT title enough for Miro? For now. I think it really establishes Miro for now. And then I feel like somewhere down the road he can get that AEW title run, because I think, just to keep with my predictions, I think that Hangman Page is the guy that takes out Kenny Omega eventually, wins that title. Then I think maybe Miro can take that from Hangman Page. So that may be something we have down the road. So take a look at that. Maybe check back with me in about 4 months, 5 months, see where Miro's at, and we'll see if we can see what we can surmise from his reign there.
Yeah, I agree with you there. And yeah, I mean, the promo was weird. That's why I didn't want to mention it, but I'm not surprised by it. I mean, Cody's an old school guy. Cody's born from the old school stuff with Dusty, so and everyone around him. So I'm not surprised by it. And that promo, it may be divisive, but it does appeal to a certain section of fandom that is still a foundational part of wrestling fandom, whether people want to accept it or not. So he could play this out. It depends if it'll play overall. It depends if it'll get clicks, if it'll get people excited about it, interested in what he's trying to create here. We'll see. But yeah, it feels, but it's Cody. Cody's kind of allowed to try certain things and see if it works and if it doesn't work. And so we'll see. But yeah, I didn't like the promo myself personally, but I didn't fault the guy for playing it because it is a well-worn cliche type of storyline that has worked for decades. You can't tell me the Maharaja is back and somehow, some way, they're not going to play that angle up in the WWE. They will. Someone's going to come over and say something about it being a foreigner or something about him being different, or in some way, in some subtle way, like they used to. I mean, look back at those old promos with Cena and The Rock. They've made some kind of references to people who are foreign or whatever. So it has worked for years, decades in wrestling. So I wasn't surprised by it, but I get people's upset at it for sure. Yeah. All right, let's go through some of these super chats that have been rolling through here as we've been talking about the AEW show. Let's start off first. And please keep sending in your Streamlabs and your super chats, ladies and gentlemen. Justin Toner said, I feel NXT has improved since moving to Tuesday. Yeah, like I said, like not having to worry about competition allows you to try new things. Less pressure versus Dynamite. It's more focused and great matches too, like Escobar versus Kushida this week. Yeah, that was another one for sure. Escobar versus Kushida was good. I like it.
Well, we talked about this maybe last week or the week before, but I said like the heart is missing from NXT. I think NXT is getting it back though. I think we're slowly seeing it get back to basics. So hopefully that continues to happen. Of course, I'm here for it, and it looks like maybe even down the road, AEW Dynamite might have to move too. So we'll see how that goes. What happens if Dynamite goes to Tuesday and it becomes Tuesday Night Dynamite and we just do this all over again? So
that's a good point.
We'll see.
That's a good point for sure. And I also think psychologically, we as fans can sit back, relax, and take the product in as it appears to us on that night. We don't have to go, and compare mentally. So we're looking for differences. We're looking for things to ding either program for. We can actually sit back and relax, actually appreciate the good stuff. And it's just coinciding with the fact that they don't have to adjust their storylines or push certain things to kind of compete with the other program. I think that benefits all of us as fans and them as creative people for sure overall. Justin also says, also the skits where the $1 Million Man keeps one-upping Cameron Grimes have been hilarious. Great use of a WWE legend. Yeah, what do you think, Aaron? Do you like that as well?
I love seeing Ted back. I love when they had the shot of the club and Cameron Grimes couldn't get in and the person pulled up in the limo and it was Ted DiBiase. And exactly. And he said, well, kid, something you got to learn. Everybody's got a prize. I love the $1 Million Man. He's one of my favorite characters of all time. Even as a bad guy, I love the $1 Million Man. So to see him back on TV, guy still looks good, man.
Yeah.
He can still do it as long as he can still do that laugh and it's believable. He's still got the cash. I love Ted DiBiase, man. Give it to me every week. He's going to be back on NXT this week. Yeah. So I'm here for it, man.
He certainly seems to look better than Tully or Arn do. And no offense to either one of those gentlemen, but it seems like Ted can still do his thing in a way that's believable and works. And that laugh never goes out of style, ladies and gentlemen. Never goes out of style. I like this side of Piper. Yes, I hated the $1 Million. Hated because in the end he was right. Everybody has a price. It was a little too close to home. Soda said Mosley should use the X cover of Wild Thing from Major League. It suits him way better than the original Trogs version. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you. Using a song from the '60s to appeal in 2010, it's not gonna work. It just doesn't work. It's weird. It feels kind of tired. And I'm surprised that Moxley went with that choice. It just doesn't make sense. As we're going to talk about when we get to Dark Side of the Ring, this is a guy that's fought in death matches. So it doesn't make sense to me for him to roll in with an old-ass song like this. No offense to the Trogs or the Wild Thing. It's a great song, but I don't know if it really gets fans off their feet and excited to see Moxley.
Yeah, it's fine. I think it's totally fine. Like just the way that they use it, it strangely, like, it doesn't fit, but it also fits at the same time. It's very strange.
I guess so.
I know that if for Moxley, if he's going to use real music, I don't know, man. Like, I just envision him coming out to like Walk by Pantera or something like that, like something seriously like hard, like come out to that. But it's different. That's for sure. It's not like these, since the WWF or WWE got rid of Jim Johnston, like their music hasn't been the same at all, dude.
Right.
To hear actual music is really cool, though.
Yeah, true. And must show that they've got money to pay for it, for sure, if they're using real music. Justin Toner says, as for Dynamite, I love Bucks versus SCU and Miro versus Darby. Did not care for the Cody promo at all. The camera work on Dynamite still needs improvement. Yeah, you're 1,000% right. Aaron, we talked about it last week on Blood and Gut, our review of the Blood and Guts show. Like, you got to know as a director which shot to put your cameramen in position to make, camera women as well. You got to know when to cut away from it as well. So I think it's not just the camera work, it's also the director. That's really important here. The cameramen are just going to go, women are just going to go where the director tells them to go. And yes, they'll freelance and try to get shots and whatever because they want to impress their bosses and they want to deliver a good shot for the fans who are watching. But in the end, it's the director who says, go to 1, go to 2, go to 3. So if that person is willing to leave some of those shots on the air that don't push the product in a positive way or put it in a positive light, that's got to go back all the way to him. He's him or her. That's the problem.
There you go.
Yeah. Did you notice the camera work? Did it bother you?
I didn't notice the camera work as much this time. With Blood and Guts, it was really, really noticeable because they missed big spots. Yeah. So I guess I'll have to keep an eye on that going forward, watching it, hoping that it improves.
Yeah.
I forgot to mention the SCU and Young Bucks match. I feel sad that SCU's like no longer together. Like, it's just Kazarian and Daniels now. And it's like, damn it, man. Scorpio Sky was so good but but it's
Yeah.
But it's okay. It's all right. And then the double, like the Young Bucks, like buying their Nikes and becoming more and more assholes is like something that doesn't endear me to the Young Bucks because I already think they're assholes.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't need to do that for me. But it is what it is.
I agree. Star Drew says, Aaron, really nice hat, man. So he's giving
thanks, brother.
There you go. All right. Let's see if we got any more. No, I don't see any more Streamlabs or Super Chats. So if you want to keep sending them in as we move into the last, half an hour of the show, please feel free to send in your Streamlabs and Super Chats as we go along. All right. Where are we going next here, Aaron?
Well, we need to talk more AEW, get them Super Chats.
Yeah.
We're talking about this week's WWE on A&E biography of Booker T.
Can you dig it, sucker?
Exactly, man. One of my favorites in my top 10 of wrestlers. If you remember that episode, Booker T. The guy did it all, man. Literally won every single championship you could win in the pro wrestling business at the time. Did win the WWE championship, but that's okay. Won the World Heavyweight Championship. So Booker T, coming from the streets of Houston, losing his mom at a young age, robbing 20-some Wendy's, going to prison, getting in the wrestling business, coming full circle, becoming basically the lone man from WCW to say, I'm going to go to work. I'm not going to sit at home. I'm going to try to make a name for myself. Mm-hmm. Booker T comes and does it and is a 2-time Hall of Famer because of it. I thought, we've had Stone Cold, we've had Roddy Piper, we've had Macho Man Randy Savage, and now we have Booker T. I would safely say that Booker T, probably the less known of the four to the general public.
Okay.
Might be the best one they've done.
Yeah.
I thought this was absolutely fantastic. I thought it was well done. I thought the story was well told, well paced, just the right amount of outside the ring to inside of the ring. It was a human story. You wanted to root at the beginning. You're like, man, this Booker T guy, I don't know if he's going to make it. But then you want to root for Booker T. That's what endears Booker T to the fans. You want to root for this man because he seems like he's turned it around. He's a genuinely nice guy. I think the world of Booker T, and I just cannot express how great this biography was, where the Macho Man felt like a hit piece. The other ones felt like puff pieces. This one felt real, like they're telling a real man story. A la like a 30 for 30. It's what it felt like a real 30 for 30 documentary. I loved it, dude. What did you think of it?
Oh my God, are you kidding? It was everything. I echo everything you just said and more, my man. It was the best one they've done. And I love the Roddy Piper one. It was the best one they've done so far. The Macho Man, you're right. But the first 45 minutes of Macho was great. Then the questionable stuff they ended on certainly left a bad taste in your mouth. This one, from beginning to end, it felt like the people involved with making this really had a love and respect for Booker T. And one of the reasons Booker T gets over, and people spoke about it a number of times from Vince all the way down in this biography, is that he connects with the fans because there's an authenticity to him. There's a realness to him. He's not afraid to talk about his past. He's not afraid to mention certain things. And here's what's an interesting thing to say. He is a black man who named himself Booker T, and Booker T. Washington is a very famous black man. He talks about how Shaft was a huge influence for him for I'm going to get you, sucker. And he talks about Rerun and the pop and lock and all. So this is a man who is very entrenched in the black culture, but does not have that necessarily out there confrontational approach to this thing, to the race issues. And that's okay too. There are so many black wrestlers who have wanted to maybe get into a confrontation or have a conversation about these kind of things, and rightfully so. But Booker is one of those gifted people that will subtly put it out there, and you have to kind of have a conversation with yourself about it. And he's incredible. The energy he has is and everybody talked about it. Stone Cold really stressed it. He is a positive person. He walks into a room and he wants to laugh. JBL said, I've never seen him in a bad mood. He just kind of rolls with things and he makes it work. And sometimes they've handed him some really questionable storylines or characters to play, and he makes it work. He is a genuine entertainer, a genuine performer who loves to bring it with the fans. Look, Stevie Ray was every bit as good in terms of I don't know, every bit as good as like an energy in the ring. He was a strong energy in the ring. But Booker is just that next level, that they talk about, and he has it. And it's because, like you said, Aaron, you want to root for the guy. You like the guy immediately. He's a good-looking dude. He gives you a good show every time. He plays the comedic moments really well as the hardcore moments really well. And I love that they talked about his past, and he wasn't ashamed of it. He's like, yeah, not ashamed in a way that was like that hurt his feelings. More like, yeah, I did this. I was running crazy. I knew I didn't want to be do drugs. I didn't want to be a pimp. But I still found my way into some bad stuff. And we kept stealing and we just felt like we were riding high. And then he said, but I was stupid. Who knows better than the cops? It's literally their job to catch people who are doing things like I'm doing. And, I did my time. I wrote to my sisters. I kind of figured out what I want to do with my life. And then he has this moment that's you kind of have to have a conversation with yourself where he steals some drugs in order to fund the possibility of him being able to get his son back into his life. So interesting moments, certainly. And you can judge him, but did you come up? Did you grow up in that situation? Did you grow up in that environment? He made the decisions he had to make, and he took the routes he had to take so that he could climb out of it and create something better with his life. And it was incredible to watch his rise through this biography. And you're right, it was the best one they've done. And shout out to Ivan Putski, the Polish Hammer, one of my closet favorite 80s wrestlers, ladies and gentlemen. It was so great to see Putski still doing it, still have his faculties with him and talking about it. So I can't tell you how much. It just put a stupid smile on my face the whole time I was watching it, man. Because I've had the honor of meeting this dude. I've had the honor of him taking pictures with me. I've had the honor of my name coming out of his mouth for a promo for a match that I was involved in the Schmodown. And it was such an honor to have that in my life. So much love and respect to Booker T. And this biography is one. If you haven't watched it yet, you need to find a way to watch it for sure.
Well said, man. Absolutely well said. One thing I want to touch on with Booker T, I don't want to be like this person's like, I'm an OG fan. But like when I was, 9 or 10, I got, for my birthday, I got the Harlem Heat wrestling figure, like 2-pack. And I was such a big fan of Harlem Heat because they talk about it in the documentary, and it's true. That fucking music, dude. Yeah. The Harlem Heat music. Like, that was awesome. Like, whoever did that music, like, they just felt different. Like, you had Ron Simmons and Butch Reed, like, years before that as Doom, and, like, they were these two ass kickers. Right. But then you have Harlem Heat, and you're like, these dudes probably take you out in the back and just beat the hell out of you. And, like, they just look cool. They look cool. Yeah. They look mean. They look tough. They looked real. And then Booker T they were very, and I don't think they said this, but they were, like, very Heart Foundation-like, because Booker T is the technician going in there, like, doing the high-flying stuff and taking the bumps. Stevie Ray's your Jim the Anvil. He's the big brute. Yeah. He's doing the big slams and all that stuff. So they're very technically sound, like those teams, like the British Bulldogs of old. Like, nobody compared him to that in the documentary, but when you see it, it's there. Mm-hmm. So they had a lot of that going on. The only thing they didn't really mention in the documentary too much that I was like, was Booker T's relationship with Sherry Martel. That was something that was really, they touched on it. They, like, Sherry brought him up when they were Harlem Heat and stuff like that. Right. But they didn't really go too deep into the personal. Like, it was said out there that Booker T gave Sherry away at her wedding. Like, they had a really close relationship. So it was kind of weird that they didn't put that in there. But, you talked last week, like, are they going to put that Hulk Hogan line in there where he said, Hulk Hogan, we're coming for you? And they did. They totally did. And then Booker T said, he said, I never said that word again. Yeah. After that. So just so much going on. I loved Harlem Heat, and when Booker T broke away, I was so excited when he won the TV title, and then when he won the US title, and then he's the world champion. It's like, dude, Booker T is so cool. Yeah. Like, just seeing him do the Harlem Hangover, he didn't hit it every time, but doing the Harlem Hangover and the side kicks and the axe kick and the spinner Rooney and stuff like that, just like Booker T was so cool.
Yeah.
And then he morphed himself into this guy that's fighting with Stone Cold in the supermarket that you'll never forget.
Oh,
you never forget that.
Oh.
And then, of course, how could we ever forget the King Booker talking in a weird British accent? Just so good, man. So good. Like, if you couldn't get enough, like right after that, they did the Treasure show, the Most Wanted Treasures, and it was all about Booker T. And it had Booker T and Stone Cold on there. So if you didn't catch that, it's worth your time. Yeah. Just a really great episode. There was a couple, like they didn't touch on too much on his initial WWE run, which is fine. I understand why they didn't put that in there. And some of the greater matches he had with like Scott Steiner and Chris Benoit and stuff like that, I understand why that wasn't in there. So the stuff with Triple H at WrestleMania 19, where Triple H should have not buried him or had racist promos, but whatever. I understand why it's not there, Triple H.
Right.
Oh, my bad. I just thought it was from top to bottom one of the best ones they did. A real human story.
Yeah.
And we talked about it last week. We talked about how like the one documentary had like wrestling figures in it. It had different people. For what I've surmised, these are all different directors that are doing this.
Absolutely.
So that makes sense that like this one would be a more human story. And someone said, all right, I'm going to take a different take with this guy. So
yeah.
I thought it was great. Really good.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with you 1,000%. Yeah. It's very clear. You're right about that, Aaron. I thought that too last night again. And I felt that way during the Macho Man biography too. I was like, these are different people doing these biographies, and maybe that's on purpose so that different takes, and it isn't one standard like take through for each wrestler from one overall person. You're getting different approaches, different takes, different styles to do this. And yeah, they're not going to jump into the nitty gritty of Triple H screwed him over. They're not going to do that. It's an hour and a half documentary. That's all you have. And so, to get into the nuances, I mean, they didn't mention the Benoit Best of 7 series. So there's all these things that they could have gotten into. And that speaks volumes to the amount of, to the longevity of Booker T. The fact that he was able to have so many memories, so many programs, so many situations that people are like, hey, why didn't you mention this? Why didn't you mention that? Why didn't you mention this? That speaks to the fact that you got over on a number of different programs with fans who still remember them, who still revere them, who would still love you to talk about them. There's certainly a 3 to 5 hour documentary out there you can do as a series. Maybe WWE does one down the road, or whoever does one independent for maybe Dark Side of the Ring does those people do a separate one that isn't Dark Side, just a biography, a 5-hour biography. That's a possibility down the road. There's so much to explore with this man, but I like that they spent a lot of time talking about his upbringing, talking about what he overcame, talking about his path and his process, and then Sharmell, giving Sharmell some love as well, and talking about her process, where she came from, how she was a performer, how they met, how I totally forgot she was a Nitro girl. Didn't even occur to me. And if any good thing can come out of that film with David Arquette and all that, the fact that they met, that's a positive that came out of that film for sure. So all of that were positives overall for me with the biography. You're right. I would have liked to have seen a little bit with the Sherry stuff, because I know she was an integral part of them getting over with the fans. But I didn't know about the Brooks and Dunn thing. I had no idea about the Brooks.
I didn't know that either, and I was like, "That's hilarious that they did that. That's funny." The Brooks and Dunn shirt. That's great,
and it totally worked. So all of that just kind of like it shows you like this is a guy who cared about performing and giving of himself to the fans because he loved what he did. And they talk about that too. One more thing. They stress how Nash and all these guys that when WCW folded up, they sat on their ass and collected their money because they're like, we don't have to wrestle. I can make money sitting on my ass doing nothing. Booker is a blue collar guy. Booker said, no, I like to work. I want to work. I am built from the place of I want to be useful and beer. So yeah, did the initial WWE run, did it not go as well as people were hoping? Sure, but he was working and he was doing what he wanted to do. And eventually the fans appreciate that. And he got over with all those different characters. You know, Cactus Jack, Mick Foley's correct. So is Booker. You could argue King Booker, G.I. Bro, Booker T. They all have their special place in fans' hearts, as much as Dude Love does, as much as Cactus Jack does, as much as Mankind does, and Mick Foley. So to me, I think Booker did incredible stuff with what he had. And I love King Booker. That's, dude, the English accent, just genius all around. So it was great to see them touch on all that and how much respect the guys had for him, even after he injured Stone Cold. The guys eventually got respect for him because he showed he could work and make it work no matter what they put him in. So shout out to him.
And Steve Austin realizing that he was wrong.
Yeah.
And like trying not to, essentially blackball Booker T before he even got started. So
yeah, for sure. Some comments here, and please, ladies and gentlemen, we got 170 y'all watching us live. Please hit that like button. Get us above 100 likes. Would love it, because I think we're only at 35. I get it. You're enjoying the show, but hit that like button, that thumbs up button, get us to 100 by the end of the show, which we'll be wrapping up here in just a few minutes. John Alexander says, this was a feel-good episode of Biography. Absolutely. He also said Triple H should have put him over in 2007. As you're
not wrong,
Aaron. Yeah, for sure. Javier Reyes 405 says WWE NXT on the USA Network drew 697,000 viewers. That's the lowest since going unopposed. NXT seems to be missing something because they have great talent. Huh?
Yeah, that's what we've been talking about. Something is missing from NXT. What is it? Is it the fans? Is it just lack of those different talents? Is it Karrion Kross? Is he the wrong guy to be NXT champion right now?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what it is, but we'll figure it out. And hopefully, I know I'm just kind of tooting my own horn here, I'm going back to NXT pretty soon. So let's hope that it happens.
All right. Well, Justin Toner also says, yeah, even Dynamite was down in the ratings too. So who knows? You never know. Listen, doing this small YouTube, I never know what works and what doesn't work. I just to put it all out there and hope it does. Javier Reyes said, RIP New Jack, didn't know much about him, but I saw his Dark Side of the Ring doc. Very fascinating guy. Good promo. No doubt. Yeah, and I think that's all the super chats, and no Streamlabs have come. Oh wait, Christian Ramos sent one. He said I tend to ignore rumors, but with Cody's parts of Dynamite being so different to the elites, hell, Cody hasn't been on being the elite in ages. I see how people would think there is tension at AEW. The elite tend to poke fun at rumors, but they have not poked fun at this one yet. Yeah, anything here?
Yeah, I keep reading more and more about the dissension between Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, and Cody. Is there something going on backstage? Do they have different opinions of what Dynamite should be and what AEW as a whole should be? I think that probably is some truth to that, because Cody, like we've talked about, is more of a traditionalist. And Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks are of this new style. They're not second or third generation wrestlers that came up. I'm sure they know about the history of the business and stuff like that, but not like Cody. Yeah. Cody's brother and Cody's dad, and he grew up around the business. So it's a little bit different. So it would make sense to me that there is dissension. It just keeps getting louder and louder. And it's very strange, because you hear about how AEW is just so it's nicey over there. All these guys love each other. That's why they started this company together. And, once you work with some of your friends, sometimes you don't stay friends once you work with somebody.
It's true, because egos get in the way. That's how it always is, especially in a performance business. It's really rare where you get together with a bunch of your friends and the egos that go. I know I keep referencing the Schmoedown, but it's the closest connection I have to something like this in pro wrestling. And the egos are pretty well involved in the Schmoedown. And Christian is constantly taking calls from players and managers who are always complaining about something. So it never stops. And we're all friends. It just never stops crossing that line sometimes, because you want to have that premier spot and get shown. So you're right. It's certainly there that it brews underneath the surface, or bubbles under the surface, for sure. All right. And anything else more should we say on the Booker T thing, on the Booker T front?
Well, I think we're good there. I think let's move on to the other documentary, which everybody in the chat will now hate me for. We're talking about the latest episode of Dark Side of the Ring, which profiled Nick effing Gage, murder, death, kill, all day, all that kind of stuff. Stole it from Demolition Man. I know what it's from. I'm not stupid. So this profiled deathmatch wrestler, Nick Gage. That's the nice way that I'll put it. Okay. And I don't know, man. You go ahead and take this one. I'll just jump in after.
Really?
Yeah, go ahead.
You're going to put me on the spot?
Yeah, go ahead. I'll jump in after.
All right, fair enough. I liked this Dark Side of the Ring. I texted Aaron throughout. Aaron was pretty upset about it because he had watched it obviously before I did, and I was just texting my thoughts as we watched along. I don't know much about Nick Gage. I don't know much about this segment of wrestling, but I don't have a problem with it. I was like enjoying the shit out of some of these highlights of these death matches because I marvel at the people that put their bodies through it. Are they the most intelligent people? Are they cut from the best cloth of humanity? Probably not. But they're putting their bodies out there for the entertainment of the fans. And I certainly am not willing to go through light fixtures or go through barbed wire or go through all the mad exploding shit on fire that these people go through just to entertain 40 to 50 people sometimes out in a field. Like, it's incredible what they put themselves through. And I got to give props. Now, this guy, Nick Gage, whereas we look at Booker T and the stuff he went through and came above and all of that, Sharmell talking about this is a guy who wore suits. He wasn't, I thought he was going to be something. He wore suits. He wanted to radiate an air of professionalism. We got the other side of this thing when Nick Gage couldn't seem to keep himself out of trouble. But of course, his mom having breast cancer could have affected him. His brother kind of cutting him off. His brother going through mental health stuff, and then his brother committing suicide. All that stuff kind of affects you. And I think they're just two different people on two different paths with two different situations. Because also Booker T lost his mom at a younger age than Nick Gage did. So there's that kind of comparison here. You see how one person had the impetus from the beginning to do something better with their lives, and one person just only wants to be this and knows what this is. And you can't deny, Aaron, people love this guy. People sent letters when he was in prison. He became even bigger after he had that match with David Arquette. And kudos to David Arquette, who I've met, a really nice guy. We took a picture together with our belts. It was a lot of fun. But he is a guy who he speaks pretty openly about these situations. And I was surprised he sat down to speak about this because Gage, in a reflex move, tried to kill him. So it was pretty crazy when you see him getting pissed off and literally jam this. And Arquette could have sued him to the moon, dude. He could have put him in jail again for attempted murder for that situation. So they do. I think the documentary does a great job of exploring this guy's life and showing all the influences and then letting you decide how you feel about this guy by the end, one way or another. But, I think it's madness, but I respect people that put themselves through it.
All right. So I respect everything you just said. Respect. The thing about deathmatch wrestling is like we just like gave this like glowing tribute to New Jack, the guy that stabbed people and did all this stuff. Like New Jack was just as bad. He was Nick Gage before there was Nick Gage. So
sure.
The thing about New Jack is like New Jack felt real. I feel like in a way Nick Gage is putting on an act. I feel like he's just trying to come across as this guy, like this, I'm going to kill you and different stuff. Yeah, okay, he stabbed David Arquette, but David Arquette is a friggin' idiot for agreeing to do this anyway. How stupid is David Arquette? Like that's what the main thing I got from this documentary is that David Arquette is an idiot. That's number one. Like, why would you agree to something like that? Doom Tribe says in the chat, Mox glorifying Gage was disturbing. I texted you this.
Yes,
we talked about this. I said, I cannot believe that Jon Moxley, Dean Ambrose, former WWE World Heavyweight Champion, AEW World Heavyweight Champion, said that deathmatch wrestlers are some of the best storytellers in professional wrestling. Number one, sir, deathmatch wrestling is not professional wrestling.
Oh my God.
You're not a professional.
Wow.
Like, what is professional wrestling? What polish do you have to bust a light tube over someone's head? There's no polish, brother.
Wow.
The fact that he said that blew my mind. I could not believe that. And then he also said later on that Vince McMahon would kill to have someone that connects to the fans like Nick Gage. That also is the craziest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. Like, what are you talking about? Did Hulk Hogan not exist? Did The Rock not exist? Did Stone Cold Steve Austin not exist? Shawn Michaels, like all these people exist. Is he talking about right now? Maybe. Okay, if he's talking about right now, I guess I'll give you that a little bit. But it's just this fucking guy. Like, but everybody, he has his own cult following, and I totally get it. It's underground. It's fresh. It's hot. It's something new. But like when Moxley and Gage were talking about, like ECW was talking about, like ECW is like being like, oh, they're pussies compared to us because we did something new. No, you just mutilated yourself more. It's not like there were some guys in ECW that could actually wrestle. Yeah. Like your Rob Van Dams, your Dean Malenkos, your Eddie Guerreros, your people like that could that could actually wrestle. That was the difference between ECW and now. The hardcore stuff was only like part of it. It wasn't the whole thing. And deathmatch wrestling to me is just something that I don't care for. Like I gave this Dark Side of the Ring a really honest, open chance because it's not my thing, but I want to learn more about it. I want to learn, like, what is this underground culture? Like, is it's this counterculture. Like I'm an angsty teen. It feels like 90s grunge, like, but as a wrestling match. Like, I'm against the system, man. So I'm going to cut myself with these tubes, and then I'm going to get cut with a tube and be basically bleeding to death. But I don't want to go back in the ring. Like, I got to go back in the ring, man. Like, that was crazy. Yeah. You see him like bleeding there. He's like, I'll keep filming. I'm going back out there. But it blew my mind, dude.
I get it. I totally get it. Like, I love when you have a hot take, dude. I may not always agree with it, but I love it because this is the authentic Aaron coming through with these moments. But I'll say this is as a counterpoint, and certainly not to undercut any of your points, but this is all the dude has. That's why wanting to climb back into a room where blood is gushing out of your body to show everybody else I'm a badass, I can still do it. That's where the reason he is so over with the fans is because the fans buy the authenticity of his toughness, because he's willing to put himself through this kind of torture just to entertain them. And there is a devoted fan base that loves that. And I hate to break it to a lot of people who love pro wrestling and the grit and the glitzy costumes. This is a foundational piece of the fandom of pro wrestling, whether you like it or not, whether you even want to call it pro wrestling or not, it's still a foundational piece of the fandom. It goes all the way back to gladiator days when they were putting gladiators in the ring with lions. So it's just that kind of thing that people want to see human beings subjected to the word. I just saw Spiral. Horror people love that shit. Torture me, put stakes through steel spikes through my tongues. People love that shit.
Spoiler alert.
I'm just saying, it's not a shock. It's not a shock for us all, film. But I'm just saying, it's that kind of thing that people enjoy, and human beings. There's a certain section of human beings who love to watch this kind of shit. I mean, the NFL had a program before the CTE shit blew up where they showed you the biggest hits of the weekend because people love to watch other people get absolutely blown up physically when they're hit by someone else. This deathmatch thing is born from that. Whether people want to admit it or not, it is a cousin to that. It is related. And so I think that's where so seeing a guy wanting to go back in is no different than Triple H fighting through a quadriceps injury and being carried back out. He also could have just said, end the match, take me out, I'm hurt. But there's a thing that takes over, like for lack of a better term, a manhood thing that takes over. Certainly women fighters have it as well. Women athletes have it as well. But a manhood thing in this case where you want to go back out there. And I think that's why the people love him, man. there isn't, whether you want to believe it or not, there is an authenticity to him that they gravitate to overall.
All right, man. Let's have some more truth time here.
Yeah.
I'm a massive fan of horror films. Massive horror fan. I love slasher films, man. I love to see the blood and guts because I know it's fake. And I think sometimes it's silly and it's ridiculous and it's fun. But sometimes horror has nuance too. The problem with this deathmatch stuff is that it has no fucking nuance. Like, it's just craziness for the sake of craziness. It's like, you're going to get thrown through a glass door. It's like, why would I do that? Because people are going to think it's awesome. It's like, cool. I don't know, dude. It's like,
where's the nuance in Eli Roth's Green Hostel or whatever the hell that Green Inferno?
Are you talking about the Green Inferno, sir?
Yeah, where's the nuance in that nonsense? Or Hostel? There's no fucking nuance in that shit. It's torture porn.
I didn't say
for
that.
horror fans to jack off to.
I didn't say that had nuance.
Yeah, all right,
and it's an homage to Rogerio Deodato's Cannibal Holocaust for one.
Oh, so I apologize. The nuance of Cannibal Holocaust.
By the way, Cannibal Holocaust, fucking horrible. Never watch it.
Yeah, but, of
course. It's just like one of those things. Like, yeah, okay. So Zeno Hour talks about it. He talks about Nick Gage saying he'll die young and he'll possibly end the ring. Like, he'll go out on his shield.
Oh, totally.
Like, he's not a fucking warrior of Sparta, dude. Like, it's just
But he is in his mind.
Let me tell you this, man. This is the part of the documentary that really threw me. When he robbed the bank, when he slid the note to the teller and was like, give me your money or I'm going to kill you or something. It's what happened to that person's family. Like, at that moment, the person that got that note's like, holy shit, I'm going to fucking die. Yeah. Like, but we don't talk about that. We don't talk about that part of it. Like, he literally threatened someone's life if they didn't give him money. The guy, I understand that he was really downtrodden. He was in drugs and he was living on the streets. It's a story that's unfortunate, and it's a big part of our society today. There's a huge homeless population. I understand it.
Yeah.
But there are people every day that claw themselves back up. We saw it juxtaposed. True. In the biography of Booker T, he robbed all these Wendy's because, the guy didn't have no money.
Yeah.
It eventually turned it around. Maybe Nick Gage turned it around too. He talked about going to prison, getting out, going right back to prison. Mm-hmm. He's not going to do that again or whatever. I don't know, man. Like, it just,
I don't know if I believe him. I agree.
I don't know if I believe him. Like, it just didn't feel the same. I don't believe his girlfriend at all. She scared me, but it just, I don't know, dude. It just feels like all these guys are vying for attention that they never had. It kind of reminds me of like the kid in school that would pull the fire extinguisher off the wall, and he's like, watch me do this, just to do it for attention. It's like, okay, that's cool. Like, I'm sure like 5 people thought that was funny, but
yeah. But let me explain. Let me make a comparison here. And some of you are old enough to remember. You might get the comparison. And some of you may not be old enough to remember. But like, Morton Downey Jr. is deathmatch wrestling compared to something like Donahue or something like the old school hosted shows where you actually had real conversations about political issues or social justice issues, and you brought people on and they debated it, but no one threw a fucking chair. No one made themselves the host. Springer is deathmatch wrestling. Okay. That's what that shit is. It is the lowest common denominator appeal, right? So I get it. I like it, but I get it. You'll never catch me at a death match event, for God's sakes, but I get it. And the same thing with Springer. I hate that shit, but I get it. And so I think that's the thing that the comparison when you look at something like this overall, you know what I'm saying? So I think that's where it is. And they may or may not have skills, but they entertain the fans. And there is a fan base for this that will pay to see them and make them somewhat minor celebrities because of what they're willing to put themselves through. And I don't think, in my opinion, and I know you're different, you don't share the same opinion, I don't think these are unskilled people at what they do. I mean, the prevalent thing we've talked about throughout the whole program is the ability for people to connect to the fans, the uniqueness of that, how difficult that can be. And throughout the program, we've talked about people that can and cannot. And so this is something where Gage he's essentially the Hulk Hogan of deathmatch wrestling. He's essentially that. He is the icon of it. And it's I'm not saying it's like, he's not at the level in terms of popularity, but within that world, he is. And he's made himself and put himself in that position. And going to jail has not hindered it. Going to jail again has not hindered it. His drug use has not hindered it. Some of the more outside stuff that gets talked about has not hindered it. And the Arquette thing only elevated it because people hate Arquette for something that WCW made a decision about. They don't hate Bischoff or Russo to the level that they hate Arquette. And it's unfair how much shit Arquette takes for that. It wasn't his fucking decision. So it's that kind of thing overall. All right. Anyway, I don't mean to spin off into a million fucking places, but I just wanted to make a few points there. Any final words do you want to say about this one?
I think when everything opens up, we need to go to a death match and film it. I think that would be super fun, just to be like, just sitting there disgusted the entire, like, how is this happening?
I would enjoy it. I just would be afraid to be in the arena with a death match. So
yeah, dude, I don't want people's blood all over me and shit like that. Like,
yeah, true.
Especially coming off the heels of a pandemic. Like, I don't want to do that. But
I knew And like I said, I like it when we disagree, brother. I love having a discussion and debate with you, my man. Reggie Donald 1 says, did you guys get a chance to check out Dark Side of Football? For me, it was just okay and not as interesting as what they do for wrestling. 1,000,000% agree. You can tell that they don't have the same cooperation that they have possibly under the table with the other federations when they're doing their stuff. The NFL ain't the WWE, ladies and gentlemen. No matter how big the WWE thinks it is, it ain't the fucking NFL. If you come for the NFL, they got a team of lawyers. And I'm not talking Gene Oakland. I'm talking real team of lawyers that'll come down and slam you hard for anything. So all they could do with Dark Side of Football with that receivers episode, it was kind of lame. I was surprised because I was excited. I was like, oh shit, are they going to get like into the nitty gritty? Are they going to expose some stuff? It was a waste of fucking time. So unfortunately, they don't have the same kind of cooperation, the same kind of people who are willing to put their reputations on the line to speak about this kind of thing publicly. So you can't even hold a candle to what Dark Side of the Ring is with Dark Side of Football for sure.
I echo you 100%. I will say that Dark Side of Football is not made by the same people that do Dark Side of the Ring.
And it shows.
So, at the Chad Ochocinco stuff, I don't give a shit. I didn't care about any of that. I thought it was a complete waste of time, and I did not like it, and I will definitely not be watching it going forward.
Yeah, for sure. And please, Dark Side of the Ring's out there. Let us know what you thought, of course, in the comments section below. We're going to get into our quick predictions for Backlash this week. And Aaron, I'm just going to run through this. Javier Reyes is asking us for our predictions for Backlash as well. So let's get into it. Javier, okay, Damian Priest versus The Miz. Remember Damian Priest? Why isn't this bad money? What do you think is going to happen here?
I think that The Miz will find some nefarious way to win. I think that's how it's going to go. Unless they want to put Damian Priest over in a big way, and they can do that by having him be a former WWE champion. That would be nice. We've
said it a number of times, and we said it when we were talking about Miz's biography on 24/7. He's a guy that doesn't need to win or lose at this point. He is good to go as a celebrity and a star. So him putting Damian Priest over, not a negative thing. He can bounce right back from that. Maybe that's a thank you to Damian Priest for allowing Bad Bunny to be his partner at a WrestleMania event. Maybe. I agree with you. I think Miz wins this one, but I wouldn't be surprised if Damian Priest comes out with it. All right, SmackDown Tag Team Championship here. Robert Roode and Dolph Ziggler, still the champions, versus Rey and Dominic Mysterio. Do you think they put a strap on Dominic this early in his fucking career?
Nah, man, the Dirty Dogs are keeping it. Roode and Ziggler are going to keep those titles. I don't think we're ready to move on with Dominic and Rey just yet. I could see Rey and Dominic getting in a feud. I could see that happening down the line. So maybe Father versus son. There you go.
Could be. I like that. Yeah, I think Rude and Ziggler retain this thing. Roman Reigns versus Cesaro. Cesaro's getting his time. Does the WWE have the guts to put the belt on him at this point? With all the kind of groundswell for Cesaro to have a shot at maybe carrying the strap.
Cesaro absolutely will not win. Roman Reigns will win. He's going to continue to hold it like I predicted all the way to WrestleMania 38. So that's Roman Reigns is on fire, the top guy in pro wrestling right now. So he's going to keep holding on to that.
So incredible, man. It's just incredible. A couple of years ago, people were pitchforks and torches to get this guy to wrestling. And now he is the top dog. He's the head of the table.
Man, it's wrestling, dude. It's just wrestling.
And The Rock probably was like, I fucking told you. Raw Women's Championship, Rhea Ripley versus Asuka versus Charlotte Flair. Does Charlotte Flair beat Rhea Ripley and end the reign quickly of Rhea's title run here?
As good as Charlotte Flair has been on the mic and the heat that she's been getting online and stuff, I'm going to still stick with Rhea Ripley. Like if you want this young women's revolution sort of thing with her and Bianca to continue, then you got to keep on Rhea. You got to give her a decent title reign. I think that she will pin Asuka and not pin Charlotte, but somewhere down the line, we'll get the singles between Rhea and Charlotte, and maybe they'll flip it there. I don't know.
Yeah, I think so too. I think Rhea retains it. They made such a big deal about these ladies having the belts and having them come down to NXT and have that moment. I would be surprised if the WWE yet again blew that situation by having her lose the belt too quickly to Charlotte. You want to build up this rivalry a little bit more. I think Rhea does retain, maybe even a count out. I don't know, because pinning Asuka really just kind of buries Asuka more, which bothers me. So maybe some kind of outside interference or whatever that causes that whole situation to go down to her to keep the belt. We shall see. But I don't think she loses it. All right, SmackDown Women's Championship, Bianca Belair versus Bayley. So curious about this match. I'm going to argue, because I'm going to go first on this one. I'm going to argue that Bayley and Bianca will tear down the house even more than Sasha and Bianca did at WrestleMania. And I think Bianca will win, but it'll be fucking barely. What do you think?
I think you're insane for that take, that it'll be better than that, but I'm going to go with Bianca winning as well. I think it'll be a good match, and Bayley will test her. I think Bayley is pound for pound and move for move the most fluid women's wrestler that they have. I've said that for a long time, many times.
You're right.
I think Bayley is absolutely technically sound and will make Bianca look like $1 million.
Yep, for sure. All right, finally, the WWE Championship, Bobby Lashley versus Drew McIntyre versus Braun Strowman. Yet again, do they take this strap off Lashley, who is still somewhat new in this run? Do they take it, put it back on Drew? That had been the plan, rumored at WrestleMania, and it didn't go down that way. Lashley retained. Do you think Lashley retains, or is the Strowman pull an upset here and be the guy carrying the strap out of this thing?
It's been a weird rise for Braun Strowman, who was basically dead and buried for a while, but the Shane McMahon match really built him back up. I think. Number one, I'm getting tired of seeing Bobby Lashley and Drew McIntyre go at it. Number two, I would really like to see Bobby Lashley hold on to at least SummerSlam. That's what I want to see, and I think that will happen. And I think that if he loses it, he will lose it there to Braun Strowman or somebody like that. But I'll go with Lashley here to retain.
I hate to break it to you, but it's for you Drew McIntyre fans. I think the kid's time is done for a little bit. I think he's going to lose this thing. I think Lashley retains. I think Drew's going to tumble back down and go into the mid-card level status, fighting for the IC title or the US title for a little bit, and then he'll get a push again for sure. Lashley went through that, so why not have McIntyre do it himself? And don't count out down the road somehow the Maharaja getting involved in this whole thing.
That's what they're saying, dude. He's going to get a big push.
My boy's going to carry the belt again. Bring it. Give me the Indian bamboo match or whatever the hell that was called.
Punjabi prison.
Punjabi prison. I'm sorry. Give me the Punjabi prison match. I'm down for it. The Maharaja. And maybe he even interferes. I mean, they brought him back, Aaron. So you gotta figure he might have something to do with some of these, with one of these matches. So I would like to see that. But yeah, I think Lashley retains. They have gold with Lashley right now. Why would you mess that up in any way, shape, or form to give it to Strowman, who's barely over, or McIntyre, who's over? Status is kind of losing its push. So I think absolutely right. So yeah, put me in a Punjabi prison match against Kali. Absolutely, I'm down. All right, that's our show for today. Let me see if we've got any more Streamlabs super chats. Okay, we do not. We answered everything. Thank you all so much.
Supersized episode today.
Yeah, supersized episode. A lot of stuff to talk about, and still 100 over 100. You watching us live? Please hit that like button. The like button is so important. If you're watching later, a lot of you do. Thank you. Last week, over 2,500 people watched our episode. Thank you very much. Please leave a comment down below. I love reading your comments, love responding to them when I think I should, all of that. So, and Aaron does as well. So please leave a comment down below. Hit that like button on this episode. Aaron, another fun show with you, my man. The time flew by. Talk to me and the people. Where can they find you and everything you do?
You can find me on Twitter at only Aaron Turner. Big weekend of stuff going on. We got the Icons documentary on the network for Rob Van Dam. We've got biography, Shawn Michaels. We've got another Dark Side of the Ring. And that's not even talking about what happened in wrestling. So you're going to have to stick with us because it's going to be another supersized episode next Saturday, I feel like. So strap in and check those out. We'll definitely be talking about those three things for sure, among other things. I'm sure everything crazy is going to happen. So get vaccinated. Have a good weekend. Keep wearing your mask until you're done 2 weeks after being double vaccinated. That's what they told me. So do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Can't wait. But that second shot is no joke. So prepare yourself. Drink a lot of water, drink a lot of Gatorade or Pedialyte or Powerade, whatever you want to do. And start drinking ahead of the shot. That's the mistake I made. I didn't start drinking ahead of the shot like my girlfriend told me to do. And I paid the price for a couple of days for it. Foggy as hell. So do yourself a favor once you do that. Prepare yourself correctly.
I felt fine, just for the record.
Oh yeah, all right, good for you. Good.
My arm itched. That was about it.
Okay, Nick Gage. Anyway, so you can follow me at The Rocha Says on Twitter and on Instagram. Love to hear your takes on wrestling. Always try to respond to anybody who comments on any of the stuff that we talk about here on the show. And please remember, as I said, to hit that like button, leave a comment down below. But also, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, subscribe to the channel down below. Hit that bell so you can know when we put up new content. Got so much going on here on the Outlaw Nation channel. So please come be a part of it. We want to get to 20,000 subscribers by July. We're about 16,900 almost. So please come aboard the train if you haven't yet, and let's keep marching towards it and be part of the Outlaw Nation family. All right, much love to all of you. We'll talk to you soon. Take care of yourselves. Be well, and we'll see you next week for another live episode of Strong Style.
MDK, motherfuckers.